Hey there, everyone. So Spotify have just released their Unwrapped for 2025, and I just thought I'd share mine with you. And then, since they're doing that, I'm going to do my own little thing at the same time. So let's have a look and see what Spotify has said about me. So from a listen count. So how many minutes have I listened this year? They're saying it is 20,265, and that's about 14 days. So yeah, I don't know how that compares with other years, but yeah, I'd say that's a pretty long time. Okay. Now I've listened to apparently 372 different genres of music during the year, which I think is incredible. But my top genres are electronica. I hate that term, but anyway, indie rock, acid jazz, retro soul, and alternative. So yeah. Now they're just okay. So next one, I think this is a new feature as well. So they're telling me what my musical age is, and well, my listening age, and I am 16 apparently. Now their logic behind this is because I'm listening to mostly new music, and I'll touch on that a little later. So my taste is trending. I would love to see a 16-year-old listening to the same music that I listen to. And you'll probably see that when we get into the artists and the songs. So I've listened to 3,002 songs this year. So what was my number one? So they've given me a pick list of like my top five songs. But my top song was I Had This Thing by Roy Scott, Colin, and Jamie Irrepressible. Okay. So, and I listened to that 12 times. The top five sort of songs I've listened to this year is that one. This is Day One by Earthonaut. Okay, they're not giving you the full song name, so I'm gonna have to flick around here. A Different Kind of Love by Public Broadcast Service. Silver Rings by Matt Berry, and Built for Fun by Pop Will Eat Itself. Okay, so they've tell me they've made a playlist. I've listened to 13 albums this year. Okay. And the top album was World Psychedelic Classics number five. Who is William Onyeabor? By William Onyeabor. And I think that came out in about 2003. And I listened to that for 214 minutes. So my top five albums was that one. Romance by Fontaines DC. That Feels Good by Jessie Ware. Um, Straight Line Was a Lie by the Beths. And For That Beautiful Feeling by the Chemical Brothers. So really only one new release in there, but I've got a good explanation for that, and we'll touch on that in a minute. Okay, so I listened to 2,303 artists this year, and let's have a look at who my top five artists were. Okay, Roy Scott is my top artist. Second top is The. Then we've got Harvey Sutherland, Confidence Man, and finally The Beths. Okay, and then they give me Confidence Man thanking me for listening to them all year. But I actually, what kind of music club am I in? I'm in the Cosmic Stereo Club. I don't know what the hell that means. And my listening role is a scout. You listen to the freshest releases, always pulling my club forward. Okay, all right, what's that all about? And 3% of global listeners are in that club. The club's favourites are Unknown Mortal Orchestra, Tame Impala, Robots with Ray Guns. I do love your stuff. Pop Will Eat Itself, Matt Berry, and William Onyeabor. Okay, and I think that's it from that's it from the perspective of, oh, they've got sort of a few more insights for me. So biggest electronica day was February 19th. Most diverse day was April 9th. Heavy repeat day on July 5th, and I know what that was. Biggest music listening day was July 17th, and most energetic day, October 23rd. Okay, and I think that's about it from them. But I've kind of got a couple of little sort of, and actually one thing that I do like about the playlists that they've put together for us this year is that in previous years you got the playlist, excuse me, of your top 100 songs. This year they're doing the same thing, but they're giving you the listen count, which I actually think's a great feature. So it's not so nice that that they've added that in to your playlist, so you can see how many times you've listened to something, and that's actually brought up something that I kind of was looking through this, and I'm sort of thinking, okay, my favorite song was that Roy Scott song, and I did listen to that quite a bit. It showed up in playlists a couple of times, and yeah, that's probably why I think it showed up in my release radar for about 3 weeks. Yeah, and that's probably why it's up so high. But I actually think that my top song should have been "We've Got to Hit It Off," the Dimitri from Paris remix by Millie Jackson, because there were two different versions of that song that were released. There was the 12-inch and there was the 7-inch, and in total, I listened to that about 15 times. But because there are two different versions of the song, yeah. Anyway, okay. If I was to go through and kind of from what I did listen to and what I've been listening to at home, because I think that the way that this is working now is that I am listening to a lot more long form stuff at home. I buy a lot of albums and I'll hear a song or I'll get a new album and I'll listen to that. So I'm not actually listening to as much long form stuff on Spotify. I'm listening to that at home. Actually, it's really interesting as well because this year, unlike other years, I didn't go back and listen to older tracks or older artists. It has primarily been newer stuff that I've been listening to this year. Don't know why that is, but it's just something interesting to think about. So, if I was to kind of pick my top 5 songs from this year, I'd kind of disagree with them a little bit. I would actually have, yeah, Millie Jackson's "We've Got to Hit It Off," the Dimitri from Paris remix. Yeah, that'd be up there. Let's see, what else have we got here? Then we've got Disco Misfits by Pop Will Eat Itself. And yeah, more on them in a little while. Don't Happy Be Worry by Hilltop Hoods. I love that song. Unfortunately, their new album didn't get a release in Europe. I'm going to have to get it on import. Then let's see, what else? There'd probably be a Bomb the Bass. There were a couple of good Bomb the Bass releases this year. What's that? That's 3. That's 4. And then where is it? What's it called? Yes, Slow Emotion Replayed by the which is a new version of Slow Emotion Replay um, by the. It's a beautiful new version, and I bought that on 7-inch when it came out. So, I mean, that would be my own top 5. But let's look at some other things that went on during the year, and I'm going to look at kind of my top 5 albums. These are new albums, and then I'm going to look at my top 5 reissues and compilations. So, and these are in no particular order. So, first off, we've got the Beths. Straight Line Was a Lie. I love this album. I love the Beths. Was lucky enough to see them earlier in the year. They played at the Button Factory here in Dublin. That's where they kicked off their tour, actually. Yeah, but they were, I mean, they're a great band. Sort of very quirky, angsty. It's all real instruments as well. They don't use synthesizers. The band, they're just an interesting band, and I absolutely love them. And I love this album. It was a good follow up to their previous album, Expert in a Dying Field. So, yeah, lots of great tracks on this. So, if you haven't listened to this one, I would recommend it. Okay, let's move that out of the way. Okay, second one, The International by Saint Etienne. Now, this is their last album, but it's really good. It's really, really good. It's got some great collaborations on it as well, and I'm hoping to see them later in sort of next year. They're doing their final tour, so yeah, very sad to see them going, but it's a great final album. And they actually released, they actually sort of helped edit an edition of Electronic Sounds this year. And there was a 7-inch single with Only Love Can Tear You, Only Love Will Break Your Heart, and which was the song, and I think it was Brand New to Me, was the B-side of that. So next up, we've got The Orb, Buddhist Temple. Now, this is, I mean, the Orb have been doing a bit of interesting stuff recently. There was the whole Metallic Spheres with Dave Gilmour from Pink Floyd, but this is just them, and it's just pure ambient bliss. Really, what the Orb is so good at. So yeah, I would, if you can get a copy of this, I would definitely recommend it. I need to move these. Actually, I'll just put them on the chair here. This is a very ad-libbed video as well. Okay, next up, we've got Popular Health, Delete Everything, really return to form from these guys. Was lucky enough to go and see them in Manchester in 2024. That was fabulous. It was so good to see them come back. As I mentioned, Disco Misfits was probably one of my favorite tracks of the year. So yeah, good to see these guys come back. Very popular itself. Yeah, so if you haven't bought this one or you haven't heard it, I would definitely recommend taking a listen. And last but not least, okay, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizards Phantom Island. This is kind of King Gizzard doing their prog. It's really good. And now that they've taken their back catalogue off Spotify, the only way to really listen to these guys is their physical media. So CDs or vinyl. Luckily, I've got a few of these guys' albums. I do like their prog stuff. I'm not really as much into their heavier kind of stuff, but their prog stuff is amazing. Hoping these guys come out next year. And I think they've got a couple of more albums, but they're prolific. They really, I mean, what is it? They like released 27? I think it's 27 albums in the last 10 years. They're incredible. So yeah, love this one. And then I have one honorable mention, and that's, for those I love, Carving the Stone, Irish hip hop artist. I don't think, well, over here in Ireland, he doesn't get the appreciation he deserves. I actually heard him first on Double J. So they actually had this as one of their albums of the week. So he gets more love in Australia than he does in his home country. And I really do think that's a shame. This is a great album. Wouldn't be in my top 5, but yeah, I think it deserves an honorable mention. Now, if we look at what kind of compilations and sort of reissues for this year, I'm kind of throwing those guys together. First off the rank is Totally Wired, and this is an acid jazz collection. Got a great lineup of acid jazz artists. I mean, you've got Soul Revival, Brand New Heavies. You've got a bit of Matt Berry on here. You've got Earthanaut. I mean, a lot of what I was listening to this year came from this album. From the reissue side of things, Sabersonic Sabers of Paradise. This is a great project that Andy Weatherall had back in the 90s, and this is where Smoke Belch comes from. Smoke Belch is one of those great ambient tunes. I think it featured on the original Cafe Del Mar compilation from 91, but I was so glad to see this one come out again. Okay. All right. Stone Roses, the remix album. Maybe a little bit controversial, but I do actually like some of the remixes on here and some of the people that have remixed for them on this. I mean, you've got 808 State, you've got John Carter, Groove Rider, let's see who else, Utah Saints, guy called Gerald, Mint Royale. This came out, I think, originally in around 2000, and it's got a vinyl reissue that just came out earlier in the year. So I love this. Okay, this is a big one for me. It is, I always get this wrong, Dub No Bass with My Headman by Underworld. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. I've had it on CD for many years. I've still got the original copy that I bought back in '94. So I kind of had it floating around for almost 30 years. I've had the same copy, and I've been looking for it on vinyl. And it was really coincidental because the day before this hit Tower Records, I was actually looking at vinyl copies on Discogs, thinking, yeah, I'm going to go out and get it. And then walked in Tower Records this day, and it was in the racks. So this is one of my favorite albums, and it's good to see it back on vinyl. And then finally, I think an honorable mention for Spring Revisited. Spring Records, my top song came from this compilation. I didn't know if I'd be able to get it on vinyl. Seemed to be sold out everywhere, but then Spin Dizzy, I think they got extra copies and I was able to pre-order it. But this has got some great stuff on it from the Spring record label. This has been released by Acid Jazz Records. Lots of fantastic remixes. Let's have a look. I mean, you've got Millie Jackson, you've got Street People, you've got the Fastback Band. What's that? Night Fever. Great track. That actually, on Spotify, that was my number 6. Okay. But yeah, this is a fabulous album. If you can find it, get it, play it, you'll love it. Modern remixes of disco classics from the 70s. All right, I've been talking a lot, but yeah, thanks for watching. If I could, this is going to go up on my Lost in 12 Inches channel, so click subscribe. What I'm going to be doing in the next couple of months is actually doing video versions of all of my podcast episodes. So if I could please ask you to subscribe, click the bell, leave me a comment as well. I'd love to hear what your top 5 were, what your artists were, and all of that good stuff. So yeah, like, subscribe, leave a comment. Check out my Patreon, www.patreon.com/SovMedia 1971. That's where you'll find Lost in 12 Inches, The Algorithm Made Me Do It, Crafty Tours Dublin. I put lots of beer reviews up there, and that's where you'll get early access to the Michael Does Lunch videos. So thank you all for listening to me ramble on about what my year was like. Really appreciate you taking the time to have a listen to me. And as I always say, testicles.